You see, the Ibadan National Opposition Summit was a thought that was conceived within a very short time and implemented. And the efficacy in the organization and the turnout of the opposition political elements in Ibadan, to me, sends a very strong message to anybody in Nigeria that it is going to be business unusual. People have not seen in a long time. We met in Ibadan. People ordinarily, which we could not agree because of political differences, agreed with me that there is a need to narrow our political differences and face the larger challenge. A monster has emerged on the political stage. And you see, I like speaking like an African. In a tarot, there's a tarot adage that says, it will require community effort to kill a mad dog. Otherwise, it's going to bite everybody. So everybody in the community is coming up, ganging up to kill the dog, not because they love themselves, but there is a common threat to every one of them. And I think the instinct of most of the people that gather resonate with the fact that, look, we need to do something fast before it's too late. So the resolutions were quite amazing. They were not even contentious. There were no opposing debates to most of the issues. Rather, the contributions were even amending the issues to be more comprehensive enough to deal with the challenges. And I watched with a lot of interest what happened in Ibadan. Of most of the decisions that were taken, the one that was quite interesting to me was the consensus of producing a single presidential candidate on behalf of the opposition parties. And the opposition parties considered and even proceeded to provide an insight to Plan B and C. Because there were some political parties that came up and said, we might end up being frustrated in our expectation of the courts, and we must think beyond the courts. And as I'm telling you, a lot of back channel protocols are being deployed to try to deal with all relevant legal issues that will require participation in the election, and where we will finally birth the idea of challenging. But the take from Ibadan Summit is that whether President Bola Ahmed Tinubu likes it or not, he might have not only the governors, he could go around the whole world and recruit all the marabouts. He is not going to contest, he's not going to be allowed to imagine that he's going to contest the election alone.
Governor Seyi Makinde, the host governor, made some remarks, but then one that became highly controversial was when he reminded everybody, but specifically the APC, the ruling APC and the government at the center, that the way the government is carrying on, the political party APC is carrying on, is reminiscent, very dark foreboding of the 1965 Operation Wetie that happened in Western region, especially in Ibadan. Now, before the words even finished coming out of his mouth, the APC people pounced on him, the government people pounced on him that, he's making inciting, insightful statements, the security agency investigates him. In fact, he should be impeached. What do you say to this?
When you hear government budgeting for acquisition of arms, armed robbers and the robbers in government are going to start yelling and shouting. What Makinde did, Governor Makinde only proved that, he is a typical Yoruba with the sense of history and historical narration. That was all he did. And that he was too honest to a fault to tell the truth. So the man who reminded people gathered in the hospital that this place is called ICU cannot be blamed for the death of the person. I agreed with everything Makinde said. This is a very good reminder, because if we forget history, we'll be tempted to repeat it worst. Makinde was only telling this government of injustice and impunity that do not imagine what you are doing to be strange. It has happened before. And these same Nigerians you are seeing dancing with you and saying, Emologo, did the same thing in the past. But when it was clear for them that they were not going to, that their democracy was not going to survive, their survival was also not assured, they were forced to act. That they are the same people, they have not changed. There are no new pastors, no new imams that have changed them from who they are, except you change your method. So what has Makinde did wrong? And he spoke in the place where it happened. If he has made that statement elsewhere, you would have said, okay, it's on a mischief. It's on a mischief, trying to instigate people. But it's natural for any true son of Yoruba to stand in Ibadan on an occasion to make sense. He will definitely say those things that Makinde said, to remind the people Ibadan is a historical city that has played a key role in the redefinition of the Nigerian political history. It cannot be denied. So I want to thank Makinde for it, because he also even reminded me. His statement rose consciousness in me that, look, a time is coming if we don't checkmate Tinubu, I may be said and blessed, because Makinde did not point at those who will be the victims of Wetie, but he raised an awareness among the political class that you have misbehaved for too long. And if you do not call yourself to order, danger is likely going to come. So what is wrong in what I said?
The president, during the Nigerian Revenue Service headquarters building commissioning, said, oh, he was bantering with the Senate president. He said, oh, Senate president, I thank you. I will send you to the other side. You go and represent me. And then you scatter them. And I was like, wow, Mr. President. I was saying that to myself, watching that. At that level, there are some things you don't say, even if it's in jest. Because your people, your errand boys, your foot soldiers, when they hear it, they will not understand it as jest. They will take it serious. Sir, 3 days after, you referenced it. This president's chief of staff, Fela Gbajabiamila, was in Lekki party for the wife. And he repeated exactly the same thing. In fact, directly telling Lekki Abejide, don't leave it, stay there. We love what you are doing. We will support you. Destroy them, scatter them. Is that not the reason why? Is Seyi Makinde out of order for saying, if you scatter opposition elements, you are creating room for anarchy? Help Nigerians to understand this.
You know, Governor Seyi Makinde is a gentleman. He speaks very softly and slowly. But his statements are very, very weighty. He's a very organized speaker.
He's an engineer, so they are
so he's a very organized speaker. And his choice of words are also very, very amazing. Makinde, you know, why Makinde's statement is so offensive to them? It's like you have people eating in the dark and pretending to be meeting, and then somebody light a torchlight
to expose them.
Yes. So they will not forgive him. That's why they are very, very angry with Makinde. But they have done worse thing than what Makinde said. But as to why would people at such status make such statements? I'm a scholar of a very great revolutionary musician, the legend Baba Fela Nicola Kokuchi. You know, that great philosopher did not leave us in doubt. He addressed every Nigerian political situation, and he said to people like the ones we're having are called vagabonds in power. It's only a vagabond that will not be mindful of his statement as a leader in charge of a state that has a population of over 240 million. In fact, there are protocols of communication that leaders are trained when they assume office. But that can only be possible with leaders who want to govern their people. But people on self-seeking ambition, like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, cannot be trained by anybody. But Ahmed Tinubu sees himself as he knows everything. If you listen to when he speaks with a lot of arrogance and pride, as if there is no any other person that exists in Nigeria except him. He sees himself and his family as people who have conquered Nigeria. But you see, why Nigerians, when he exhibits those characters, Nigerians are not bothered because we are a cultural society. Everybody comes from a family. If you choose to misbehave, there is one thing that guides your conscience: the defense of your family name, the contribution of your ancestors into the society and the Nigerian state will always serve as a reminder. So,
to moderate you, your conduct, your utterances and everything.
Yes, yes. So when you find people in public space exhibiting some of these very negative tendencies, interrogate whether in their consciences there is this wish that will safeguard their thought as to what they should defend. Do they have a family name to defend? Like me, I'm always mindful of anything I do. Even as I'm speaking to you, if you know my grandfather, you will know that what I'm telling you now, he will say exactly the same thing. And I cherish the name, I guide the name jealously, because that's the highest asset I have to bequeath
Exactly.
to the progeny. So we are in a deeper crisis because those who do not have a history of a cultural orientation and identity will always behave like what Fela referred to as vagabonds in power.